those flying laps. It is 2+ minutes for these Caymans, even with the extra power underneath them. So they will not get that many laps in 25 minutes.
It's a good point, because most places we go, 25 minutes is plenty of time, but not so much here at Road America. The good news is there should be plenty of room to find clean racetrack, unencumbered racetrack, although we do see a couple of packs of cars already forming here early. It's a 14-turn, 4.048-mile layout here at Road America, more or less unchanged in terms of the lefts and the rights and the straights and things of that nature since it opened in 1955. A few of the corners have been opened up, more runoff in certain areas. The curbing has changed quite a bit over the last 10 or 15 years, but the soul of the place remains the same. It is one of the most revered pieces of racing real estate on the continent.
Definitely a rarity in today's motorsports scene to see a track that still has almost exactly the same layout as it did back when it opened in the 50s, of what few road tracks there were at that time, as we were just getting the first few of them built over here in the States. But yeah, it is still incredibly similar to how it used to be, and that is why many drivers still consider it one of their favorites. You talked about those long straights as well. And I wonder here in qualifying, is anybody going to try and get a little bit tricky out there and use a bit of that slipstream to get some better pace, get just a little bit more straight line speed out there? But then, of course, as we see the cameras follow them through the carousel, they have to be careful not to get held up through some of the twistier bits.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder if some of the teams that run multiple cars, especially with drivers of similar paces, can use that to their advantage. Run close enough together where you can employ the slipstream just a little bit, but also not be encumbered in the corners.
Somebody there going off at the kink. Thankfully, it looks like they got away with it, but off into the dirt fully from our Yokohama blimp. And you definitely don't want to do that, because we've had a few cars that have already suffered the wrath of that infamous corner and gotten a bit of damage. So it's got precious little runoff to the outside, unfortunately. Always has been that way. And you can definitely ruin the rest of your weekend just with one tiny hiccup.
And you did a little sleuthing when you were out and about yesterday, Joe, scouting out the track. This facility, by the way, it seems like every year we come back and they've done something new for the fan experience. And you were checking out the new viewing platform that overlooks the kink. And a lot of people do wonder, well, in this day of safety and walls moving to accommodate greater runoff, why has the kink remained the same? And the answer is pretty simple.
Yeah, well, there's a train track literally on the other side of that wall. I mean, there's a tiny little, I think it's a creek in between it. But not only do they not own that property, but honestly, it would be very difficult, even if they could negotiate something. It would be very expensive to move that train track, and what little extra space they could add wouldn't really do much. So hence why they've left it as is for all these years, and drivers just have to be extra careful through that section. Definitely recommend, if you come out here to watch, to go and check out that little viewing area. You can't see a whole lot of the track, but you really get a good sense because you are just right on top of that kink, so you get to see a bird's eye view of them pushing the limit through that corner.
Climbing on board with Chloe Chambers. It's great to have Chloe back in the championship, driving for TPC Racing here this weekend. Not just in Porsche Sprint Challenge, but she'll be teaming up with Tillman Schmid, with whom she has alternated in this car, along with Evan Hinkle over the course of the season. But Chloe and Tillman will be teaming up for the 1-hour endurance race at the end of the weekend tomorrow evening. And Chloe has been representing this championship very, very well on the global stage, racing in the all-female F1 Academy Series in support of Formula One this year.
I'm excited for her coming back, because there haven't been a whole lot of people who've been able to take the fight to Ian Porter, and Chloe Chambers has been one of them. So that 77, I think, could be a bit of a thorn in the side of Ian, who's looking to try and not only take the championship, but do it in a dominant fashion. He wants every win, every point he can, and does not want to leave anything on the table. So he's going to be trying to see if he can keep that pole position for now. Right now, it's a decent margin at about a little over half a second over Chloe, but we haven't had too many laps, so that could definitely change.
One big flyer from Ian at that 2:13, like you said. Backed it off a little bit on the second lap. Came down to a 2:15.436. Lonnie Unser has just jumped into the second spot. at a 2:14.391. That's about a half a second shy of Ian Porter's pace-setting time. Then it's Chloe Chambers, who comes into this weekend talking about her F1 Academy season. She's third in points, won the last round, the second race at Barcelona, with upcoming races at Zandvoort in the Netherlands, Singapore, the Lusail circuit, as well as Yas Marina to close out the year. But jumping back in the Porsche here this weekend, but trailing another one of the great young female drivers in the championship, Lonnie Unser, who just wrapped up a special couple-day program a few weeks ago at the Porsche Penske headquarters in Mooresville, North Carolina, as part of the Porsche Female Driver Development Program sponsored by Mobil 1.
Yeah, we had a couple of our Porsche drivers there represented, and definitely seemed to have a fun time as well as learned a lot during their time working with Porsche. But Caroline Conda now moved down to 5th overall because Elaine Scalzo has now taken 4th overall. Now, he is our Masters pole sitter currently, and he looked very quick yesterday during the practice session. So I have a feeling that he is going to be a serious concern for any of our Masters drivers, mainly Michael Clark, who's trying to see if he can wrap up a championship.
Right now, the points difference between Clark and Scalzo, 121, so it is a pretty big gulf for Alain to overcome in the remaining 4 races of the season. But he comes in riding on a high, pole position and race wins in each of the 2 races at Watkins Glen within that Masters class. He was really on it there in upstate New York, bouncing back from a crash early in that weekend, let's remember. Had to go to a backup car. No such dramas here this weekend at Road America, and this is a place that really suits Alain Scalzo. High speed, high commitment, that's right up his alley.
I'm impressed to see Tom Kopczynski up in 2nd in the Masters, and as soon as I say that, Pilichowski displaces him in P2. Even still, a 3rd place for Tom is a big improvement from what we've seen in the past. He's just ahead of Bill Finnick. Looks like Michael Clark has responded and now put down a 2:15 flat, but it is constantly changing. Roland Crines now crosses the line and breaks under the 2:15 mark.
Yeah, great job for Roland Crines, who is here with the Jag New York sponsorship on that car once again. And he's did a really nice job there at a 2:14.989. He's got experience here, of course. He's run in SRO GT4 competition here at Road America in the past. So he'll be using that track knowledge to his advantage, and he'll be back here next week, like so many of these drivers and teams will, as part of the SRO weekend here at Road America 1 week from now.
Yeah, this is the second in a series of 3 sports car weekends here at Road America, with series coming in to compete. So there's definitely been a few people that have been getting comfortable here in Wisconsin. But the drivers are the important one at this stage, as we get a car off just before the kink. And I see a lot of dust on both sides of the track, which clues us in on a red flag, stopping the session with about 14 minutes left.
Hard to identify the car in question from this
26.
distance. Car's 26, okay.
That's Scalzo. Oh, no. We spoke too soon. So he wasn't having problems up until that moment. Let's hope that the car is okay. It's not moving, which is not a good sign. And, yeah, I have a feeling that maybe he dipped a tire going off of the carousel. That shot him back, and he may have hit the inside wall, but we don't know for sure right now. So I think I see smoke coming from the car, too. So something major must have happened.
Well, he did have a difficult weekend here a year ago, had a crash that cost him not just results at Road America, but also, oh yeah, you're right there, Joe. There is some significant left side damage to that car. But it also cost him to miss the next race on the calendar.
Oh, I just want to correct myself. That's the 15.
Okay. I was going to say it didn't look like Alan's
Yeah,
colors.
I thought so too.
Bill Finnick. And Bill has had a nice weekend. He was sitting 10th overall at the time. It would have been, just outside of the top 5 in class.
Yeah, if you ever get a chance to meet Bill, he is one of those guys that he's irrepressible, just so full of energy and always a smile on his face. In fact, had it on this morning as I said hi to him and asked him how he felt. He was in good spirits and felt positive about things, but it's all come crashing down for him now at this stage. After he was sitting within, I think it looks like about 6th or 7th there on the timing sheets before this was halted. Now, hopefully they can get that on a flatbed, get it out of here relatively quickly. But even if they do, it'll likely only be 1 or 2 laps for the drivers.
And then the question is, how much is left? How much have you pushed these Yokohama tires up to this point? Is there enough left in them to go for one more flyer and maybe improve? Ian Porter, by the way, in that provisional pole position overall and within his class, of course, at that 2:13.8. That should not come as a surprise. The team told me that their focus in practice yesterday was on qualifying to get him putting in those fast laps. So that focus on qualifying seems to have paid off. And talking with some of the driver coaches there with the Rafa Racing team, they pointed out that his pace this weekend has been, Ian's that is, has been right there with a lot of the big-name coaches that are here this weekend. So keep an eye on him because he'll be racing not just in Sprint Challenge, of course, but also in the endurance race and might have a chance to showcase some of that pace against some big names in GT racing.
Well, we see Bill getting out of the car and walking under his own power, so that's really good to see because that does look like a pretty good hit that he took. So everything seems to be A-OK for Bill himself, and that's the main thing. Let's hope that he can get the car turned around so that at least he'll be able to do a little more competition this weekend. Like we said, there's so much happening. It would be a real shame if he was taken out of all competition for the remainder of this fantastic penultimate round we've got here at Road America. And he's going to take a little seat on the little concrete wall while he gets a rest and lets the crew do their work to clean up the situation as we take a glance now at the cars lining up along the pit lane. You can see many of them are anticipating trying to get back out. There's a bunch that are lined up at the exit. The rest have come down to their tents to maybe have a little chat and get some data downloaded and maybe debrief on how that session has gone so far.
A couple of notes. Rafa Martinez, who we were on board with, is not credited with having set a lap time. So maybe that was just an in and an out lap. And again, this is a brand new car to them. I had a couple people around the track say that they did see him on track briefly yesterday. I did see the car get towed in at the end of the day yesterday. So maybe they're working through a couple of things as they try to get that car in the right spec for Porsche Sprint Challenge and just adapt to a chassis they've not worked on before. And then Thomas Bigany as well had an incident yesterday. I think that was in the kink. So did not set a time and does not appear that car was ready to make it out for qualifying here this morning.
Which is interesting because I did see them shaking it down in the parking lot back in the paddock a little bit earlier today. So I thought maybe we'd have that car out and rolling, but maybe they didn't feel confident with how it was feeling. As you can see them now getting ready to load up Bill's car. Now, those of you who are wondering and have never seen an alternate layout at Road America, that little dip off to the side is a chicane that can be added from motorcycles. I don't think I've ever seen it used for cars, but it's a rarely used portion of it. The thing that shocks me is off to the side, they actually still have hay bales.
Really?
To the outside, yeah, to the outside of that corner.
Well, that tells you it's probably for the motorcycles then. It's better to slide off into a hay bale than something harder than that. The only time I've ever seen cars use it has been in a virtual race on iRacing or something like that. But even that, it's a rarity.
Yeah, I was going to say, in all my 11 years of calling iRacing races, there has been one race I have called with a chicane, and that was not very popular. So, yeah, not really made for cars so much. And, of course, the beach, one of the newer additions as well here. I was able to go and check that out the first year that I came here when IndyCar was racing here, and they were just kind of starting on that. So it's very cool to now go and see what they've kind of set up over there. It's honestly before they had put that new viewing area that I mentioned up above the kink. That was the only place you could go and watch them race at the kink.
It's a cool place. It's such a high commitment corner, and you think about some of the big accidents that have happened there over the years, it just drives home the level of commitment that's required to keep it flat or close to flat, especially one of these GT cars, a Cayman in particular, which doesn't make the kind of downforce that the Cup cars do. In some ways, yeah, maybe the entry speed is slower, but it takes a little bit more commitment and confidence to go through there in one of the lower downforce cars relative to something even like an Indy car, which goes in there maybe 100 miles an hour faster.
Exactly, yeah. So at least they're using the brakes in these cars, that is for sure, to try and get the car to go through that corner. And so that helps somewhat, but it's still pretty scary. And this, of course, is the wonderful go-kart track that they have, which I found out yesterday. I guess they also use for I don't know what they're called, mini bikes or something. They had a whole competition going, which was really fun to watch.
Yeah, I saw that. It's a 0.8 of a mile layout here, the C-Tech Manufacturing Motorplex here at Road America, and it hosts weekly events during the summer for karting, but also for small displacement motorcycles like we saw. So yeah, that it's amazing how frequently this place is in use. There's ATV trails that go out through the woods around this place too. I know they've held cycling events here in the past. This place is really busy. Not a weekend goes by during the summer months. Unfortunately, the summer months are quite short this far north. But even during the week, a lot of teams will be testing here and events will be held here at Road America. It is a busy, busy place over the course of the summer here in Wisconsin.
Yeah, definitely encourage fans, if you get an opportunity to come out. This is definitely one of the better facilities you can visit for racing. And if you do, bring your walking shoes, because, I mean, 4 miles, yes, it does wrap around on itself somewhat, but it's still a big, big track. And you got to do some traveling to get from one spot to another. But the good news is there's lots and lots of great viewing areas all throughout. So comes highly recommended by me personally as a place to check out. 5 minutes left on our clock currently. I'm checking. Yeah, there we go. Now we've got one of our still cameras pointed back there. And there's a lot of trucks still around that car. So I'm not confident that we're going to get this restarted.
Nor am I, unfortunately. It looks like Ian Porter might be set for yet another pole position. He has been racking those up. That's a look at Ian, the former Call of Duty world champion, who's making the transition to motorsports and has done so in eye-opening fashion this year. He has been a revelation, I think it's safe to say. He's had some challenges from time to time from a couple of folks that have popped in and out as we do go checkered here on the session. But Ian Porter has been the one consistently there fighting for race wins, fighting for podiums, and has what appears to be at this stage an unassailable points lead with 4 races to go.
This is a bit unusual. Now, they have had red flags in the past. Usually they let the clock tick down, but those of you who are watching may have seen that they called that before the clock had hit 0. So they must be pretty confident that that car is going to take a little bit to pull it out. But this will set us up for the GT or the USA West Series for our next qualifying session, and that will be a combined session, which will be interesting. That said, it looks like our session is wrapped up, so the results have unofficially been locked in, and that leaves Ian Porter as our provisional pole sitter with Lonnie Unser on the front row. That is an excellent effort for her. Chloe Chambers is going to return starting from 3rd. Then you get Elaine Scalzo starting on the provisional pole for the Masters category. Caroline Conda starting from 5th will be back in the pro. You've got Roland Crines starting P6 with Michael Clark down in 7th. A bit unusual to see him that far down, but not too bad for him. We'll see what he can do from 3rd in that Masters category. William Pelichewski will be starting from 8th with Tom Komchitsky in the 9th position. Bill Finnick was able to put the car in 10th. We'll see if it actually takes the grid. And then from there, Jason Golan will be in 11th. Patrick Dempsey, yes, that Patrick Dempsey is starting from P12, and then Chris Hutter will be P13. Daniel Ammon will start in 14th, Jim Johnson 15th, and Dan Sabile 16th. Then you get to Trollinger, Rizzo, Wichard, Morales, Kerr, Petkus, Martinez, and Bigany rounding Out your field. We will be back a little bit later with the Porsche Sprint Challenge USA West by Yokohama qualifying. Stick around here at Road America as we prepare for more racing later today.